it's visible, but it is not the heart of the website. It is not the most prominent primary call to action and messaging strategy. It's there at the top right. It's there because when you direct someone there that you're working with, you can easily point them to it and say, hey, click that apply button.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry technology, and services to help you be a mortgage influencer in your mortgage business. Well, hey there, and welcome to another Wednesday and another episode of Mortgage Influencers. Hey, it's Ginger Bell. I'm actually streaming by myself, which is a little unusual for us, but I'm not going to be alone for long. We actually do have Scott Schang and Andrew Pawlak, who are our special guests. Andrew is today that'll hop on shortly. They're actually just finishing up on a webinar talking about Andrew's newest project, which is Rebel IQ. And I know he's going to be excited to share that with us. So while they're hopping on, and there they are right now. Hey, guys. Oh, catch your breath.
Ginger.
Grab a drink of water.
All good. Ready to rock.
Very good. So, hey, I was just doing a nice little intro. So for those of you who are joining us, we have our guests here. And of course, my co-host, Scott Schang. So hello.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do a proper introduction. So Andrew Pawlak is the founder, and you may have heard about a company called Lead Pops. And it is now called Rebel IQ. And so not a different company, same founder, same smart genius. Andrew, I remember the first time you and I met in San Diego. And we'd had a ton of people, including probably Scott, saying, Andrew and Ginger, you guys need to meet. And we geeked out talking about tech. I think I had my son with me at that conference.
Yep.
And so he enjoyed meeting you too. So one of my absolute favorite things about you, Andrew, is your passion and commitment to helping LOs build their business. And that's one of the things, and Scott, you can probably agree and attest to that you just see that over and over and over again. So thank you, man, for that. Truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Ginger. Glad we were able to connect, and I'm a big supporter of your ideas, the stuff you're putting out there, the way you're helping loan officers, and happy to be here. And Scott, always fun to hang out back to back. Here we go. So
Right.
Okay, so you guys just came off of a webinar, and so Scott, you really know the ins and the outs, but I want to lead it up with, when you're looking at a strategy, and I think this is really one of those things, but what I want you to think about, for those of you who are listening or watching, is your entire strategy, your stack, if you will, of everything that you are doing to position yourself, to brand yourself, to do all of those things. And it truly is, it becomes a stack. So whether you're doing your videos on social media, your website, I've just gotten into publishing books for people. So using that as a lead gen.
So smart.
Yay, you got it.
So smart. Love it. Yeah.
And so those are kind of things, because when you look at, all the different things you're doing, whether it's a podcast or a video, you need to have a place for them to land, to be a lead, to get them information, to stay in touch with them. And that, Andrew, is where your brilliance comes in. So that's the foundation. That's what I want you guys to think about when you're putting everything together. And so that's what you're going to talk about here. So Scott, I'll let you go ahead and take it away, because I know you have worked very closely on everything that Andrew has been creating.
Yeah, and I'll let Andrew share some statistics on some project that they recently did. But we go out there and we work so hard to get our message out there to try to help people and to create content, especially in this group. We really push that out there. But what's usually missing is that capturing mechanism. We have these things. Sometimes we have websites, or we do marketing, or we talk to people and we send them to the homepage of our website, and our website is like just text, and there's an infomercial, and there's no way for the consumer to reach out to us, or it's not easy. It's not always that it's not there, it's that they have to find how to reach out to you. And then when they do reach out to you, we're not following up with it. What do? We get an email that gets emailed to us and we're not following up with them. Like what Lead Pops and Rebel IQ, I mean, it changed my business on my website. I got tens of thousands of visitors a month to my website. And until I started using Lead Pops on my website, I don't know how many people I was not getting an opportunity to answer their questions about qualifying for a mortgage. But when we got it in there, I think, if I can remember correctly, I want to say our conversion rate was about 25 or 30% traffic to lead once we put Andrew's capture forms, or his lead funnels is what he calls it, on our website. And then that went into a CRM that we were following up with them, something like a Bonzo or Rebel IQ. Part of that change is they solved for that. They used to just be lead capture, but now they solved for the follow-up. So it's so important. And Andrew, I want you to tell the story of this company that already had a website, already had traffic, and you had a conversation with them, and tell me what happened.
Yeah, so thanks for setting that up. And I'll just before I say that part, it's there's a lot of times even a reluctance to say, well, I don't want to drive them to my website. I want them to call me, right? And I get it. Like, a phone call's better than them going to a website, and who knows what happens there. But a lot of people don't want to call you. They don't want to talk to a salesperson maybe this minute. It's not that they're not serious, but it's just you gotta kind of meet the consumer where they want to be met and where they're at, and just giving them a phone number and hoping they call you when the time is right is like you're just missing out on a ton of opportunities. Those people don't call you to tell you, hey, that I don't want to call you. They ignore it. They don't respond to it, right? So instead of having another way to capture them as a potential relationship, it's just, here, call me if you want, and if it's 8 o'clock at night or after hours, I'm not going to call you. If I don't want to talk to a salesperson at this very minute, I'm not going to call you. And that's the only way, besides a website that people are putting out there, or a link to a 1003, which it's even worse, because it's like, I haven't even talked to you yet. I don't even really know who you are. Like, my realtor said you're a nice guy or gal, but I'm not really ready to do a loan yet. That's a pretty big ask. Like, there's a lot that goes into applying for a mortgage.
Right.
So if that's where I'm trying to take people, and that's the first step to the relationship, we call that apply or die. Basically, like, do a loan app with me or go away, because I don't have any interest in talking to you. And so many of the people that I talk to that often will say, I pride myself on my service, customer service, referrals. It's like, I wouldn't see that based on how you kind of present yourself online. There's a lot of friction. It looks like you're only willing to work with or talk to people that are ready to jump into a loan application, because if they're not, there's hoops they have to jump through to kind of connect with you. So we gotta simplify that capture process, that kind of connection process to consumers. So giving them a couple options. Hey, if you want to call or DM or text, here's how you do that. If you want to see if you qualify or find out if you're even eligible, click the link here. Takes 30 seconds. It's not going to pull credit. I'm not going to ask you for your social. You could do it right on your phone. Couldn't be easier. So find out if you qualify, click that link, and that's an example of an effective way to drive a consumer from an email, from a video, from a blog post, from a social media post, and any content you put out there. Is just, a lot of times, that is the missing piece. The call to action is either completely ineffective or it's just missing entirely. So this activity that people are being told you got to do, they lose faith that it even works, because they get it to like the 1 yard line and then they fumble. So because you don't get the response and not a lot happens, people start to lose faith, and they're like, I don't know about all these other people, but it doesn't work for me. I've been posting for months and I haven't gotten anything. I've been
Right.
doing all these. You made it really difficult, right? So just understanding that and a slight adjustment to the messaging, especially at the end of the content. I mean, if it's long form, if it's a blog post of 1,000+ words, there should be a couple little interstitial options throughout that content kind of sprinkled in that, every other paragraph, there's a link or a button that clearly says, see if you're eligible, find out if you qualify, calculate your savings, find out what your payment should be. Ways to get people to click and like take that next step that don't feel like a loan app and don't feel like a complete commitment to something they're probably not ready for at this stage of the game. So that is the missing piece, and so much that LOs are doing in terms of what they're putting out there. And what we find that we solve a lot of times by fixing these things is it's not like all the extra stuff I brought you and it's like, oh, here's all the new opportunities that we created. That's the stuff you were missing out on. That's the stuff that was spilling out the bottom of your bucket. And we just came and like plugged a hole. Your bucket starts filling up. And you're like, how'd you guys do that? Like, where'd the traffic come from? What's the ad spend is a question a lot of times people ask.
Really?
And it's like, there is no ad spend. These were the clicks. These were the viewers. These were the eyeballs you've been getting. They were just spilling out the bottom because you didn't have a way to capture and convert those people. So they came, they clicked, they looked. You educated them. You made them a better lead for Lending Tree, really is what you did. They came, they read that content, they watched your video, didn't really have a way to engage with them, so they clicked off your page. Now they're back in Google. Now everybody you don't want them seeing and talking to is right all over the place, targeting those exact searches. Anytime you type in the word mortgage, loan officer, home loans, anything related to that, you got every big competitor that's spending 10, 20, 30 bucks a click just to be there. And they're all pulling them into this really smart, engaging capture system. And that's what you're up against. So it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. This is the way to do it. And just replicating those same strategies can work wonders for you, especially if you're doing the activity and you're doing the work. It's a lot harder to get people that aren't doing any of it to start than it is like, you're already doing it. You're spending the time, you're putting in the effort, you're spending money, you're investing in creating content. Just tweak it a little bit to add that call to action, to add that path, to guide that consumer into a really easy, frictionless way of starting a relationship with you, giving you some real basic information. And, the magic is you get on the phone, you build rapport, you ask good questions, and, now you've got potentially a lifelong relationship and a client that, you do more than one transaction for, you get referrals from them, all that wonderful stuff that happens when you can kind of cross that chasm. So
real quick, Andrew, you talk about this a lot, and I really like this conversation that you have. Get rid of apply now, right? That call to action, and you kind of mentioned it real quick. I wanted to make sure that we focused on that a little bit, because you were really good and really early at kind of recognizing that and saying, hey, you change your ask, right? Change your ask a little bit. Talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, it's a tool for people who you have a relationship with. It's, we build websites. We've got 2,000 of them online for loan officers and mortgage companies all over the country. An apply button is definitely there. It's visible, but it is not the heart of the website. It is not the most prominent primary call to action and messaging strategy. It's there at the top right. It's there because when you direct someone there that you're working with, you can easily point them to it and say, hey, click that apply button. And it's there for those relationships. It's a service tool. It's a support tool. It's like, hey, it's easier than doing this in person or in the office. You can do it online. You can save your progress, come back to it. It's all automated, all that great stuff that these tools do. It doesn't work as a top of funnel relationship building or opportunity creation tool. It's the last thing. So they won't even click on the button. And if you're smart and you say, okay, well, I'm going to make it say get started, better idea as far as them even clicking on the button. But then they click the button and lo and behold, it's like typically log in. What am I even logging into?
Right.
Like, you lost me. I don't even know.
And half the time it doesn't even work as far as logging in. So taking them down that path. And I love the idea, you think about, you have a YouTube channel, and Scott, this is what you do. I mean, this has been my way home. So you have a YouTube channel, you put a video out on your YouTube channel, you post it onto social media, and then they put the link apply now, which is not working. And then they say, okay, the video's not working, the social media is not working. It's like, no, your next step isn't working. And that's what it is. And so with that next step, what you provide are the funnels. So if they have an existing website, you can put it onto that website, right? To where it'll walk them through. So, and that's really it. People aren't ready to give you all of their information. Sometimes they're ready to make an appointment. So if you have a Calendly link, we find that's better than the phone call. People aren't ready to pick up the phone and have a conversation. And you think about it, if you're a consultant, I don't pick up the phone and expect I'm going to talk to my doctor, right? I'm going to make an appointment. And then I'm going to probably search around on their website for maybe some additional information. So what you're providing is what they want for that next step. And that's some more information. They want to know, and it may be about you, it may be about just discovery. So you provide that. And I love, I mean, it's so brilliant in what you do. It's kind of walking them through part of the application, but it's doing it in a way that they don't know they're doing it. And so, just like the book that I just sent you, and it has the maze, right? As far as, hey, you're going to start here, and then where you're going to go. Oh, that doesn't work. Go here. That's what you do, is you provide through a series of questions, the ability for them to click a next button and be involved in the process, right?
Yeah, you hold their hand through the process. You make it easy. Click, 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 tap, tap, tap. You don't fill in a bunch of blanks. You don't ask too many questions at once. You don't ask certain things too early in the process, like give me your contact info, which is, a lot of times it's counterintuitive because people think, well, that's really all I need. Like, I want to make sure I at least get that. So shouldn't I ask at the beginning? And that's where they won't even start the process. And so it's like, hey, what kind of house are you looking for? Okay. How are you using that home? Okay. What are you thinking as far as like down payment? Like a bunch of easy yes questions. So they kind of say yes in a way by answering these questions like 15 to 20 times at the end of the process. When you ask for their contact information, they're a lot more likely to say yes and complete the process because there's a snowball effect. They're committed to it. So, there's a psychology behind it. We built this out. Again, our early customers were Zillow and Bankrate. So we've tested this stuff out on literally millions of consumers online to figure out, like, how many questions do you ask? What are the colors of the buttons? Like weird things you might not think of that can lead to a higher or lower conversion rate. And that's like baked into our process. So you're not sitting here trying to figure this stuff out. It's plug and play. And what's important is to think, you want to have more of these mouse traps. The more of them that you have, the better. And the more places you plug them in online, the more opportunities you're going to get. It's my, Google My Business profile, my email signature, my Yelp page. Got to have them connected to every single social media profile. Like anything and everything that you can link to and connect to, you want to have a destination on the receiving end of that click or that tap or that QR code or that URL that's going to push consumers into a really easy, interactive, fun, kind of engaging way of giving you some information so that, a lead comes in and it's a relationship opportunity. Here's the answers to 20 questions. I would have spent the first 15 minutes of our conversation asking you this stuff. So perfect. Now this came in, I got a quick kind of profile about who you are, what you're looking for. We can hit the ground running. I'm just going to confirm that what you gave me is accurate. And then we can like move into other stuff and move that process forward. So, connecting these tools to everything that you're doing makes a big difference. And if there's already traffic there, you start to see it's like the results happen immediately. It's a lot of times it's the stuff you've been missing out on. And Scott asked us a little bit earlier and I didn't get into it, but I'll just share, this is a great example of a top 5 lender in the country. We just partnered with them about 45 days ago. They've got a good amount of traffic coming to their site. They're a significant player in the space. And we'll be doing an announcement about the partnership probably in the coming weeks. So it's a new relationship. I'm not going to share the name yet, but it's somebody everybody knows. And they've got a loan officer directory with a whole bunch of LOs listed on their site, a couple thousand of them. And typically these LO pages get traffic. It's just they don't do anything. It's just a profile with the LO's information and like a link to their 1003, which is exactly what we're talking about. Does not work for conversion. So people come, they click, they look around. Unless you've told them to fill out the 1003 because you're working with them, they're not going to fill out the loan application. So as people click and they disappear.
Right.
6 weeks ago, we plugged that hole. Within 6 weeks, 45 days, as of this morning, 11 199 leads organically captured for those loan officers. Of those almost 1,200 leads, they have 395 loans in process. So incredible conversion of lead to loan in process and to lead to application. And this is an example of, this is high quality traffic. These are things you might not think of, like the traffic to these pages. Sometimes it's a realtor referral. They don't just all call you, right? Hey, my buddy or my agent said talk to Scott. So, I looked him up online, Googled him. First thing that popped up is his LO page or his profile. I clicked on that. Whether or not there's a way to capture my information is going to make or break whether something happens. And I might just click, there's nothing there but a 1003. So I leave. Scott doesn't even know what happened. I click on to the next one. Maybe it's another LO referral that I got, or it's, one of these big players that does lead gen right. And I get sucked into that process, and there goes a loan. It's an expensive mistake to make, and it's hard because you don't know it's happening. Like, you just got to look at traffic and kind of assume, like, I don't think I'm getting as much out of this as I should be. Like, I look at like Google Analytics or traffic, 700 visitors in the last 30 days and like 1 or 2 leads. Yeah, that's a problem. You got a leaky bucket, and every time something drops out the bottom, that could have been a loan. It's an expensive mistake that we have to solve. So, the thought a lot of times when people hear these numbers, like, yeah, but what was the ad spend? How did you create those leads? It's like, that was the traffic they've been getting all along. Like, if 400 loans in process in 6 weeks, that's roughly what's been happening every 6 weeks, somewhere in between 300 and 400 loans every 6 weeks. And probably last year, I would imagine that was a much, much higher number with how much more traffic and activity there was. We just plugged the hole in the bucket. All of a sudden it starts filling up. And that's what happens when you plug the holes in your marketing funnel, is you start to see results, and those results should be happening right now. And the longer you wait, the more you lose out on.
Yep, I love it. And thinking about that, so you keep talking about what was the ad spend. So what you're talking about, and amazing numbers. I mean, to be able to not just have the traffic, but result then in applications of what they weren't getting is huge. So I'm excited to be able to find out more about that and watch the journey. But the other thing, when you think about, if you did an ad spend, so let's say, okay, if you're asking about an ad spend, what if you did throw an ad spend on it? Then that would give you a way. And you think about other people that are doing ad spends, and they're kind of just throwing money out the window, because if you don't have a way to catch it, and it's not even just catching, it's continuing the engagement. And that's what people want, the engagement. Nobody wants to be caught, right? Nobody wants to say, okay, yeah, I'm ready. It's kind of like, I walk into a department store and I may know exactly what I want, but as soon as that salesperson asks me, hey, can I help you? It is just natural for me to say, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm going to look on my own, because God forbid somebody take over control of that situation, right? I'm not going to let it go, even though I know what I want. Now, I may not find what I want, but I want to look around. I mean, it's just nature. Eventually, I'm going to say, hey, okay, I'm ready now. Can you show me what I didn't find it on my own? So can you show me around? And that's how it is when people are looking and wanting to get a mortgage. And they may be ready to buy, but they are not ready to hit that, apply here until they get to know you. It's kind of like dating. It's like you don't go from A to Z on the first date, right? And so
You might try, but it doesn't.
It doesn't
usually
always,
end
and
well.
it's probably going to be a little creepy if it does. But I mean, that's the kind of thing. So
And
I
that
want
makes
to.
me think of, I wanted to even bring this up because you made me think of the digital version of that. And I'm not going to say this just doesn't work, but you find that these chat bots that'll kind of pop up and almost intrude on your searching. Like, people are like, like they're onto me. Like, instinctively close the thing out real quick. So
Yeah,
it's a digital version of that. Now, there's times where it's done well and it's done right. It's in the right timing, the right spot on the site where it makes sense. But some of these things that kind of intrude on you and that come out of nowhere and almost make you feel like they're asking, like, how can I help you, instead of on my own terms engaging with it and saying,
exactly.
hey, I'm ready now. I've looked at, or I read something, watched a video. That sounds interesting. Let me decide that I want to chat or talk or show interest in that.
Exactly.
Give them the power, and just make it easy, though. Like, don't make them jump through hoops to figure out how to do it. Just make it accessible as much as you can all over the place.
Yeah. I love it. So I want to talk about, and we'll have to have you back with Jason back, because I mean, we can geek out on about what we can do for continuing to build leads for LOs, for companies. And you don't have to be a big company in order to do this. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of, especially our broker community, think, oh my gosh, I can't have a website like that, but they can. And you do a lot of that. And so I think that's important to remember. It doesn't matter the size you are, you can have a very good, engaging website and experience. And we need to have more people doing that. So let's talk about lead gen, though, because I know one of the things that I'm working with, and you and I, share similar clients. I send a lot of my clients over to you saying, hey, go talk to Andrew. There is the option within what you built to have them submit information and to send like a PDF, so like a booklet. And for example, I have the New Home Adventure children's book. I'm working with one of our shared clients, and I just wrote a little book. It's an ebook that is a parent's guide to buying a home. And so what we're going to do is use that for lead gen.
Love
Yeah,
it.
so
Just put it up
that's
there. Probably
yeah.
flip it around, but love this idea.
So
the
that's
whole
the book
concept.
that he's going to mail to them.
Okay.
But what he wants, what we're going to do, and we're going to use your platform to do it, is to set up a lead capture.
Okay.
So to be able to say, hey, are you a parent who's, buying a home soon or moving? Do you have questions about, the moving process or buying a home when you have children? And so then they can click on that link, enter a little bit of information, and then it'll send them the parent's guide to moving with children, which will be a PDF, right?
Yep.
And then kind of along the same philosophy, as they're not going to give you all the information. So then a follow-up will be, hey, would you like us to mail you a copy of our New Home Adventure book? It's a children's book, and it'll help you talk to your kids about moving. Then we're going to get more information from them, like their address. Scott, you've done a great job as far as, we've talked about how to use Facebook and ads and things like that. But I think a lot of people don't understand that process of how you can actually generate leads and give something, not just have that application button, right?
Is that for Scott or for me?
For either one of you.
Yeah, it's basically the ability to capture their information, then send them a deliverable.
Yep. It's I guess the phrase for that a lot of times is it's like a lead magnet, right? And I like to think of it as it's like a reward or a thank you, or you get something other than a message typically, that's just like, thanks, we got your information. Someone's going to call you back, and it's kind of like, okay. How long? And I don't really know what's happening next. Like the more you can kind of give them something, give
Right.
them value, like reward them, create something on the other end of that, form completion or submission, the better the experience for that consumer. So, a downloadable ebook, a PDF, something along those lines is fantastic. And you don't have to serve it up. Our typical lead form that we create out of the box is, anywhere from 15 to 20 questions. It doesn't need to be. You can strip it down to just give me your first name and your email address, and that's it, or your first name and your cell phone number, because we're going to text you a link, and we want to get your mobile number versus your email, because we know our contact rate's even better there. So different ways you can do it. You can deliver it via text. You can deliver it via email. You could just show it as a download on the thank you page, so they get it
That's what I was
immediately.
gonna say.
Right.
Yeah.
So different ways you can kind of be strategic with where and how and the delivery mechanism, but it's just giving them that in return. And then there's thoughts around, how do I now potentially take them to the next step? And it's like, hey, interested are you relocating? Are you interested in figuring out how much home you can buy? There's another clickable button there that takes me to the next step. And maybe that's the long form. So you can kind of combine these things.
Right.
Like I got short form, just got me their name, email, and, a timeline on moving, or a couple, maybe one or two quick questions, because we didn't want to make it too long or too burdensome, but we just asked a couple questions to kind of help us understand who this person is and kind of where they're at. They got the ebook download on the next screen immediately. And then there's another call to action that said something relevant that then pulled them to like the long form. So it's like, an example would be, we got 400 people to download our ebook. Awesome. List building, database building, future marketing opportunities. But what's cool is out of those 400 that immediately got that ebook, 7 of them clicked that button that then took them to the long form, and then they answered our 15 to 20 question and those are the best leads. Now we have a very clear indicator of who are the hot ones and who do we really want to put some more effort into immediately, because now we got phone numbers for these people and we're calling them. The rest of these people are just in our database, we're putting them in our nurture system, all that good stuff. So there's a way you can kind of combine these things creatively in terms of how to stack. And we talked about stacking tools, but just like stacking the journey in a way that kind of moves the process forward.
I love it.
Yeah, one of the features of your product too, that I really love is a short 15-second thank you video on the thank you page. Hey, thanks for going through this. You can click the link below to get your download. There's also a button there if you have additional questions and you want to reach out to me, or there's my Calendly link.
Yeah.
Look forward to talking to you soon. Like something really quick like that makes it personal, and it just takes it over the top. And that's what we're talking about when you have the right tech stack and you have the right technology. You have the ability to do those things without trying to Frankenstein them all together and, figure out how I'm going to do this. That's a professional tech stack that has been tested and tested over time, not only for mortgage. This stuff works for all online communication and database building.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And it's
love
that
it.
personal touch, right? Now I'm on video. Now you see this, it's me. Like this, I'm the person that will potentially end up helping you with your mortgage. It's not call center. It's not a lead gen company. So, you get to kind of introduce yourself. If you're trying to get them to give you the address, you can say, check out this physical book. Like, we're going to send you this. Like, you can show it off in the video a little bit to say, now, hey, if you want to put in your address and actually get a physical copy, click that button below and we're going to actually mail this out to you free of charge, no catch. And like, you can set that up and it's a lot easier to communicate your passion and excitement and kind of sell them, I guess you could say, a little bit on the idea of doing it with a video. So if it's a bomb, if it's a loom, so many of these types of videos that are embeddable that you can just place. You can place it on the form or the funnel or the landing page, or you can put it on the thank you page, or a combination of those things. Like, just it's about moving that process forward into the next step. Because what's the most painful that I see is when LOs are getting leads and nothing happens with them, because they didn't follow up, they didn't have the cadence, they didn't have a process. Like, leads come in, they're like, I got 90 leads and haven't even talked to anybody. That's a significant problem. To me, that's worse than not even getting leads in the first place. Those are just opportunities that you're missing out on that are clearly demonstrating that there's interest and there's something to, at least having a conversation. But if you don't have the right tools and systems to work those leads and kind of cultivate them, then, we're just again, wasting and pouring water into another portion of a leaky bucket. It's not on the front end. You got the lead, but now your bucket's leaking on the receiving end because the leads are coming in and you're just not talking to anybody. And that's, again, to me, that's a little bit even more painful than not getting the leads in the first place.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, listen, we are at time and I'm going to go ahead and close us out. But Andrew, we'd love to have you back. You're always welcome. Love our conversation. How can people get in touch with you?
Thank you for having us, Scott. Always fun talking geeky marketing stuff with both of you. We make it easy. We go to leadpops.com. There's a book a demo, schedule a time with our team. It's all over the website. We practice what we preach, so we try to make it really easy for you to connect with us. We take you through a series of very simple questions so that we can get to know you, so we can hit the ground running, create a marketing plan, and have a conversation that's more personal to you. So go to leadpops.com, book a demo, talk to our team, and then I'm pretty active mostly on LinkedIn. So if you find me on LinkedIn, definitely give me a follow. I'd love to have you and engage there as well. Awesome.
Thank you. And thank you, Scott. Always good. And for those of you, make sure and tune in next week. We have another great guest coming in. So thank you, Andrew. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Ginger. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.